Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and tonight I have lots of videos. Most of them are about a minute long, so we'll probably go through them fairly quickly. The thing, hey Pete, the thing is with this mandated vaccine with employers. It's not just the government being, mandating federal employees get vaccinated, right? It's not just that. Is that employers are now requiring employees to get vaccinated, right? So I figure the reason that they're doing that is to make a more safe environment, workplace environment, to protect their employees. I don't know, right? But I think that they could probably say the same thing about cannabis. If you can mandate the vaccine, then you should probably be able to mandate cannabis because they say stress is the big killer, right? So, it will reduce stress in your working environment. It will do lots of things. It will give you a healthier workforce. You'll have less rates of cancer. You'll have, again, like I said, less stress. They said stress is the big killer. So stress is one of these things that make people sick a lot too, And then there's all these benefits of eating marijuana. The antioxidants and different vitamins it's hard to find, and nutrients, and then there's your entire cannabinoid system, which basically never gets any cannabis for the last 20, 30, 40 years, which is not good considering your cannabinoid system runs through all your entire body. And then there's the studies on cannabis and Alzheimer's. How they've been showing remarkable results for Alzheimer's patients and dementia in studies with cannabis. And then there's, we've all heard the stories about someone who had cancer, right? And often young people, right? And they do everything they can. They take all the drugs, they get all the treatments that they can, and nothing helps their cancer, right? And then out of desperation, they turn to cannabis. And the next thing you know, their cancer is gone. And I always, when I see those stories, I always think, it's too bad that you waited so long. It's too bad that you waited to get the cancer before you started eating the cannabis, because the cannabis is not only known to make the cancer go away, to be able to target the cancer and then make it go away, it is also known to help prevent cancer from starting in the beginning. And then it has all these anti-nausea, effects, anti-depression, anti-anxiety. So if you have all this kind of protection, it will make your workforce feel so much happier, less chance of workplace violence and workplace, anger, and then also, not only that, your employees, if you were mandating that they eat cannabis, at least this much amount, every day, then there'd be much less chance of them drinking alcohol. And I have a video on tonight that talks about how alcohol, 1 in 20 deaths around the world is directly related to alcohol. And then they say 1 in 10 deaths is indirectly related to alcohol. And that's taking into account the entire world. So there's a lot of countries where they don't drink alcohol. And my guess is that in really westernized countries, there's probably a higher percentage of alcohol-related deaths. So I have that video coming up. In fact, all of the videos I will be playing for you tonight come directly from the Mox News YouTube page. You can go to Mox News YouTube videos page, and what you'll find, you type in cannabis or you type in marijuana, and you'll find about 110 videos of that subject. And I have about 8 or 9 of them tonight. So we'll get to it momentarily. But these are, some of the thoughts. If they're able to mandate the vaccine in order to make their workplace safer, I have a feeling that some employers might feel that if they were able to get all of their employees to eat cannabis, that would make their work environment happier, more productive, and a safer place to be. Because if you're happier and feel safer, you most likely are more productive. And if this is the truth, the government can somehow mandate that everyone get vaccinated, which they're slowly kind of doing, it looks like to me, which seems to be backfiring on them. But because what's going to happen is more and more people are going to begin to speak out. Right, we're having law enforcement, having a lot of first responders going into the streets and demanding that you can't make us take the shot. Now we're starting to see pro athletes come out. They're saying, oh, well, you can't play if you don't do this. And the pro athletes, I understand, 40% of the NBA is not vaccinated. And they're like, you can't play in New York, you can't play in California. I don't know how it's going to go over with the general public. But we'll find out, I guess. But that's what I'm saying, is that more people are going to speak out as these mandates grow. So, and that's definitely going to backfire on them as more and more high-profile people begin to speak out. Also, I have a video about how in states where medical cannabis has been legalized, less opiates are prescribed. Is that it, right? Let's see. States with. I believe it's medical. But I also have a video about veterans in states where I think that the one is legalized cannabis, less opiates prescribed, and the other one is states with legalized medical cannabis. There are noticeably fewer veterans suicides. So I thought that was important to bring up and point out. And then I have a video of the head of the DEA testifying before Congress and refusing to say that cannabis is less dangerous than heroin, which I find fascinating. Again, all these videos are from the Mox News YouTube page this evening, courteous of Mox News. Thank you very much, Mox News. Wonderful work, Mox News. Hello. Okay, so I guess we can start off with we should start off with how many people die from cannabis every year. Is that where we should start? We should start with how, and I think we need to do a bong hit because, start off this show right. So I'm going to get a bong hit. I'm going to heat up the bong, and then we'll take a puff. This is a very short clip. It's how many people die from cannabis use every year? We should take a poll. How many people do you think die from cannabis use every year? Uh-oh. Gonna take a bong hit, man. Hello, caller. Hello?
Michael, you handsome son of a bitch. How you fucking doing, you handsome bastard?
Hey, Pete, it's nice to hear from you in the middle of the week, man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Damn. I never do call during the middle of the week.
What's going on, dog?
I don't know, man.
You don't know.
You were talking about how you were I do know. You're right. I always say I don't know. See, you were talking about how, companies these days are mandating employees to get
Yeah.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
And if that's going to be the case, you're absolutely right. We should mandate getting high at work. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Well,
If I'm going to be forced to be vaccinated, I'm going to get high as fuck.
my question really is should I would think some employers could see benefits of people, getting people to eat cannabis. They're in place like Google. Google is encouraging programmers to microdose psilocybin mushrooms. So just not like take 2 or 3 grams and catch a go trip, but just microdose like 100th of a gram and shit like that. So because I makes you perceive things in a different kind of light.
Bro, do you know how much I would love, and you know how, well, I guess you don't know, but corporate companies love to throw these little, like, occasional company things. You're like, oh, we're going to throw a dessert at lunch. We had a pastry company deliver donuts at lunch. It's from 2:30 to 1. Show up if you want. And they do cute little company things all the time. And I would just love so much just to show up and just microdose everybody. There's nothing that would make me happier in life.
Well, it'd be...
So don't get me thinking about that, because it's probably not a good idea.
Good idea, bad idea,
The whole thing, knowing me, I'll fucking turn everyone into, the goddamn Walking Dead.
Well, did you make gummies, any edibles yet?
I'll be the one person, like, stone sober, and be like, yep, that's the guilty guy right there.
So I guess that's a big no, huh?
What's that? Making edibles. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Dude, no, I haven't, but I am fucking ready.
How much can you buy?
I have all the equipment.
How much can you buy at the rec store there?
I don't know, and it's funny. I actually live I think I live really close to a dispensary.
Yeah.
But if I had a medical card, it would be a lot cheaper. I wouldn't be subject to the taxes.
A lot? It's not that. I have a medical card, and it's less than 10% cheaper.
The taxes out here are 20%.
Huh. Well, that's nice. That's a pretty good discount.
Yeah, so I got to work on that shit. Going to the dispensary, if you don't have a card, going to the dispensary kind of is not, unless you don't have a connection, doesn't really work out. It's way too expensive. But they do offer some pretty cool shit, though.
Well, I don't know. Is it you haven't been or you have been to the dispensaries?
I've been to a couple in Massachusetts, yeah.
And they're packed full of items for you to purchase.
About anything you can think of, but yeah.
Oh, well, good. Well, then they should have something that's like a trim that's like 90, like 20% THC, and people don't want it because it's not smokable, but you can get it for like, $30, $40 an ounce, right? So, I mean, they had some here at the store that I go to for $16 an ounce. It was 20%.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if you're making edibles, boom, that's all you need.
If I'm gonna get edibles, I'll just buy it. Yeah. My mom knows some, old pothead dudes that can get me ounces pretty cheap, so that's the way to go.
What is pretty cheap?
About $1.50 an ounce, around there.
Well, that's not bad. That's not bad. You can't get stuff at the rec store for that price?
No. Oh, fuck no.
We can get pretty good stuff here for that price at the rec store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's without my discount.
I don't know. I haven't been in a while. I gotta go back.
Most of them have websites,
But it
dude.
probably hasn't.
Most of them have menus on their website that tell everything that they have. So, and all the prices and everything. So you can figure out if there's anything there you want or not before you spend time going down there.
Yeah, we're on a completely different coast, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not at all the same. But
I think
that
it's.
sounds very nice. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah, it's nice to be able to look and see everything they
sounds
have
amazing.
and know what you want. Then you order online and it's just waiting there for you to pick up and shit.
The stuff that my mom's guy gets is real good. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
Super crystallized.
Yeah, no. If you got somebody who's growing now, they must know what they're doing because there's no reason to grow it anymore unless unless you're into it.
I don't have to. Everyone else is. It's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, like Wilco said, the legalization killed your neighborhood farmer. But not your neighborhood hobbyist, huh, Wilco?
Yeah, where the fuck's Wilco been? What's up with that? He just reappears suddenly magically.
He went to the Bahamas for a minute. He went to the Bahamas for a minute.
A minute?
Yeah.
More than a minute. It's been more like
Your minute may not be the same as other people's minute, Pete. We all perceive things differently.
Nah, he's been going a long ass time. Well, welcome back, Wilco. Shit.
All right, I'm going to go smoke a patty. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll let someone else call in because I ain't got shit to say.
Well, I'm glad that you're about to make... You should get some fucking edibles going, dude, and you will have more things to say. You're very good at the edibles. You used to talk about that a lot, man. So you need to get on that, dude.
Yeah, well, I've been meaning to get around to it. I've just been fucking so goddamn busy.
Excuse.
It's not an excuse. I've made plenty of edibles.
When?
In my heyday, all the time, bro.
Well, it's still your heyday, bro. So get on it.
Oh, I'm going to be working on it for sure.
All right.
In the future. Without question.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to do, though. Definitely some gummies, but I don't know.
You'll figure that part out.
I've been thinking about edible ketchup.
Yeah, I have a friend who brought over some edible bacon relish for like hamburgers. It's all bacon and I don't know what all it was, but it had a bunch of cannabis infused in it.
I love ketchup.
Really?
I've been thinking about that. Yeah. I got a tincture for that, though. That's tough work. How about that? That's why I haven't done it, because it takes a lot of fucking time. You know what I'm saying, dog?
Excuse.
Go fuck yourself, Michael.
You need to eat more cannabis. This is all I'm saying. How many times have I told you that in my lifetime on YouTube? You know I believe it. And you know that when you do it, you feel better.
Yeah, I love eating cannabis. It's fantastic. Best thing. The only time I really have time to do is on the weekends, though. I'm always running out of time. I'm like, fuck.
Focus, man. Have some priorities, goddammit.
You're right. My priorities are all fucked up. I'll be honest, though. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know how it goes.
Good.
Michael, he hates son of a bitch. Michael,
Are you writing any music? Playing any music?
Michael.
You gotta start eating more cannabis, dude. You were writing music. You were being all artsy and shit. Skating.
What do you mean was, motherfucker?
When was the last time you went skating or wrote a song?
Dude, I write songs all the time.
That's good.
Why are you talking like you fucking know what I do, dog?
Well, I'm just asking, when was the last time? That's all.
Alright, dog. You gotta come at me like that, homie.
How I'm coming at you is you need to eat more fucking cannabis. I'm just saying. Because when you do, you have a tendency to do those things that you love and be the person more that who you are. This more artsy motherfucker who's making shit,
Right,
creative shit happen in the world. That's all.
Alright, when did you become my fucking therapist, dude?
Okay, never mind. I won't give a shit about you anymore.
Alright. Wanted to call and say hello.
It's nice to hear from you.
Nice to hear from you too, homie.
Did you see Jackie Cat's mushroom documentary?
No.
No.
I didn't.
You should put the link in the chat, Jackie Cat. It was awesome, dude. Very pretty. You should check it out. She is an excellent video maker, producer.
That's awesome.
It's only like 11
All right.
minutes long.
Cool. I'll go watch that.
All right, Pete. Nice to hear from you, man.
Have a good night.
You too,
Take
bro.
it easy.
You too.
Don't need too much marijuana.
No, I don't think that that's possible, honestly. I've been eating so much the last 2 weeks, so.
Alright. Bye-bye.
Okay, and you used to eat like 16 gummies that were fucking high dose gummies, so yeah, don't eat too much marijuana. Okay, Pete.
You're in a mood tonight. Alright, buddy. Take care.
See ya. That's our friend Pete from Massachusetts, previously from Rhode Island. As I was saying, we should do a bong hit since the title of the show is about mandating cannabis. Although I have eaten probably, let's eat more cannabis. We should do that too. But I really would like to have a bong hit. So we will do that first, at least. Or otherwise, or shall we? I have this short little video about how many people die from eating cannabis every year. Okay, I will play it for you while I heat up my bong. It's just a sec here. It's only like a minute long, so let me play that for you. Again, all of these videos are from my Mox News YouTube page. You can go and type cannabis or marijuana into the Mox News video page, and you will find at least 100 videos there related to that subject. And how many people actually die from cannabis? Anybody?
Could Michigan be the next state to legalize recreational marijuana? The people in that state will decide. State officials have agreed to let Michiganders vote on the issue come November. The proposal would allow anyone 21 and over to buy marijuana, no medical card required. If voters pass the petition, Michigan would become the first state in the Midwest to make recreational pot legal. Meanwhile, the city of Seattle wants to throw out some past marijuana convictions. That city's attorney filed papers today to do just that. Recreational marijuana is now legal in Washington state, and Seattle wants to throw out misdemeanors for possession from before that law changed. Can marijuana help fix the opioid epidemic? Last year, 45,000 people in the U.S. died from opioids. But how many died from marijuana? Well, exactly 0. How can marijuana help? Our Dr. Sanjay Gupta explores this in his new special, Weed 4.
How many people died from cannabis? Exactly 0. Did you get that? Exactly. Exactly. Not exactly 3. Exactly 0. Not exactly 140. Exactly 0. So I think it's pretty obvious that cannabis is safer than opioids. And I will play the head of the DEA refusing to say that cannabis is safer than heroin. She refuses to admit that during a congressional hearing under oath. So under the questioning of Jared Polis, who is now the governor of California, saying, is cannabis safer than heroin? The head of the DEA dances all around it without saying yes or no. Very nice. Okay, so where were we? How many deaths exactly from cannabis? 0. How many deaths last year from cannabis? Exactly 0. So again, if you're mandating that your employees eat cannabis, and apparently there's less opioids prescribed in states where cannabis is legal, and apparently in states where medical marijuana is legal, there's less veterans suicides, and you're reducing anxiety, and you're reducing stress, and all of these things combined almost guarantee that you're saving lives, right? And that's what the vaccine is supposed to do. I question whether it does or not. I think that remains to be seen. I don't know the complete data on that, but it's a very strange thing. I went to have my blood drawn yesterday. And I was talking to the nurse, and I was telling her that it's messed up that they make me go from this facility, this medical facility over here, to this medical facility over here in the middle of a deadly plague. Instead of just letting me have my blood drawn over here, I have to go, in this one medical facility where there, sick people go, and I'd rather not be to start with in the middle of a deadly plague. They make me go to a second medical facility in the middle of a deadly plague. And I was explaining this to the nurse, probably with the same amazing eloquence. And she said, yeah, it's messed up. And I said, it seems very contradictory to what's happening, to the basic logic. And she said, yeah, a lot of stuff seems very contradictory. Or I said that, one or the other. She said something like she agrees with me, and then I said a lot of stuff seems very contradictory. And she said that when the plague first started, she was being chastised, scolded for wearing masks. She said she would put on a mask and then she'd be told not to do it. At the beginning of a deadly plague, So, and and she definitely agreed with me that there's a lot of contradictory things going on. So when I first started publishing videos on YouTube, right? I would put they had, when you go to upload, they have, the video description. I put the date, I put the broadcaster, so and so. And then they'd have tags, right? And at the beginning of pretty much every single video, I would put pot brownies, right? And I don't know, once a month or something, someone would come into the chat, which were, some of them like thousands of comments long. Someone would come into the comments and they'd be like, why is there pot brownies in the tags of this video? And I would come back and I would say, it's just a suggestion. If you consume pot brownies, you'll have a certain level of protection against these kind of videos, which are overwhelmingly, generally speaking, negative and propaganda and meant to make you depressed and filled with anxiety and fear. And if you eat cannabis, you, in my opinion, are much less susceptible to all of those things, to fear, to anxiety, to propaganda, to depression, and all of these things. The news is designed to make you experience. In fact, I posted a video some time back. I'll see if I can find it one of these days coming up, and it said that watching the news is very bad for you. It's very unhealthy, and it causes undue stress and all these other things. So, and I've always said, don't watch the news. It's bad for you, and that's partially what I do too. Is I've always picked apart the news so that people don't have to go in and watch the news all day long to get this one little clip that was juicy, really like this is the piece you need to see out of this entire hour. I used to do that all the time, every day, all day, and I was very good at it. Okay, so I'm going to play. Okay, so how many deaths exactly? 0. How many cannabis related deaths are there? Last year, 45,000 opioid related deaths. How many cannabis related deaths? Exactly 0. We played that video momentarily ago. Now, I am going to play the video about how many alcohol related deaths there are every time. Hello, caller.
Hello, Moxie. It's Daniel from Australia. How you going?
Okay, Daniel. Long time no hear.
Yes. It's been a while.
How are you?
I'll get straight to it.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right, actually.
Okay, good.
Because medical marijuana is actually starting to get pretty. It's like LA now.
Awesome.
Where you can get a doctor's prescription.
That's good.
So basically, high THC is really bad for me because I get psychosis. But I've got some high CBD, very low THC oil and flour. But then I started vaping it and stuff, and it's going well. But then I just saw your video then how you said eating marijuana is good for you. And I used to make the high THC marijuana cakes, but now I thought maybe I can make some CBD cakes. Do you know anything about it?
I would think it would be very similar. Are you able to get the CBD flowers?
Yeah, I've got some. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think it. If you type in cannabis into the Mox News video page, there will be one of the top videos that comes up is me explaining how to bake with cannabis, how to cook with cannabis. So.
Cool. Yeah. No worries.
So
I just wanted to say hi anyway.
Yeah, no, it's really good to hear from you. I hear things are pretty crazy in Australia as far as like a lockdown? Is there like a major lockdown or something?
Oh yeah, I can't unless you're doing it for work. You can't leave within the vicinity of 5 kilometer radius.
Oh.
And even going outside, you're only permitted 2 hours of exercise a day. I'm lucky because I deliver Uber, so I pretty much, if I carry my Uber bag, I can pretty much go anywhere I want and say I'm doing Uber. But a lot of people just have to stay at home, and it's pretty. Look, I think you guys in the US are handling the coronavirus better than Australia is taking it too far. Like, I understand there's a virus and I've got to be cautious and stuff, but they're taking it too far in Melbourne.
Are they mandating everyone be vaccinated, or what's the deal with the vaccine?
They are. They're trying. They haven't done it yet, I believe, but they're trying to make that.
That's I when I see the images from Australia, I keep thinking this is what they want in America, and the images from there are very troublesome. What I see, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you guys in America might. Do you reckon they're trying to do that? Look, I don't know too much about it, but because in my opinion, now's the perfect time for them to do it. I don't know. Maybe everyone will riot in the US if they try and do it. Maybe they know that. Maybe.
They're having trouble with the mandates, like a lot of first responders, police officers, nurses, stuff like that, or they're saying they're gonna be fired if they don't get vaccinated, and they're saying we're not going to do that. Firefighters, a lot of them,
true.
man. So I think the mandates here are going to backfire on them, really. I think we'll see a lot more people in the street, but I've seen a lot of people in the street there too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, there was riots everywhere. They had hundreds and hundreds of police officers just in the city going around everywhere arresting people, and it's pretty crazy. Even like they were pepper spraying everyone.
Yeah.
Even media were getting pepper sprayed. Like,
yeah.
Look, I'm not necessarily a fan of police officers. I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But surely you can tell someone who's got a camera in their hand isn't going to, most likely, unless it's a phone, they're not going to try and abuse police. There's no reason why the media need to get pepper sprayed.
A very, very small percentage of people are going to try and abuse police. I mean, some of them might back up the people who abuse the police, but they're not going to get up in the police face and try and somehow hurt them.
Yeah.
So the police act like everyone in the crowd is exactly the same, there to hurt them. That's not the way. That's always going to turn out badly for both sides.
Yeah, look, there are some good police officers, but there's some fucking asshole ones too. I can tell you that.
For sure. There's the thing about the good police officer thing, right, is that the good police officers know who the bad police officers are, and they don't do anything about it. They know that person's going to go.
That's right, exactly.
So that kind of makes them that kind of makes them bad police officers too,
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Like say I got pulled over a couple of weeks ago. And one of the police officers was giving me a hard time, and the other one was just standing back saying nothing.
Yeah.
And you could tell, you could feel it in the air that this guy was being an asshole, but no one wanted to call him out on his shit.
That's the deal too. Is like I said, they know who's gonna do this. I mean, cops should have to have like a psychological review like once a month, and probably have two sessions a month with someone that they just talk to about what's going on in the world and their life. Not that there should be somehow judged, but at the same time, they need to make sure that they should be carrying a gun around and have the permission to hurt people's lives, because
true.
If you're a hothead, and then on top of it you're having, and a lot of them take steroids and shit. You know, they should be,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they're going to test people for fucking marijuana to get a job, cops should have to do a piss test every fucking month for fucking steroids, you know?
Yeah, true. Yeah, 100%.
Because that stuff that fucking Swiss cheeses your brain, dude.
Does it? Steroids? Because I thought maybe I should try and get on TRT or something just to feel better, but it probably doesn't. It probably shortened my life by at least 20 years.
Yeah. You gotta have better alternatives.
There's no reason why I need to, so I probably won't. But
yeah. There's got to be better alternatives than that. I don't know, but you probably researched it more than I have, so.
No, I haven't. I've done nothing.
Well, that's the way to go is, figure it out on your own. I'm not here to tell you, but I think the cannabis is really important. I think it's fairly easy to cook with if you have flowers, I make a big crock pot full of a quarter pound of flowers, so you don't need to do that. You just kind of, reduce the, if I use 3 pounds of butter, you can use a quarter pound of butter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I might try and cook some, but I'm guessing your marijuana has more THC than what I would use. Yeah.
Generally speaking, I have made CBD marijuana, and generally that's what I give the dogs, and I give it to other people, and they tell me it makes them feel better than they've ever felt before in their life. So it's worth a try. Yeah.
Yeah, because THC isn't always bad for me. Like, there's always, 9 times out of 10 it is, but there's always that one time, and I'm told it's because of particular strains, there's always that one time where it actually makes me feel really good.
Yeah,
it used to. 'Cause when I was 19, smoking marijuana used to make me feel good. Now it just gives me anxiety and depression.
Well, eating marijuana might be different. What kind of CBD strain is it you have?
It's called Eve.
There's one called Harley Quinn, and it's high CBD with a low amount of THC. Because I think that there's certain essentials that you might get from the THC that are very, very good for you if you can handle just a little bit of it,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So it's worth a try.
Well, I don't want to take up too much. Don't want to take up too much of your time, Moxie. There's other people that need to call you.
Oh, it's really good to hear from you, Daniel. I hope that you're able to stay cool over there and make good things happen, man.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go do some work now, actually.
All right. Well, I hope you're happy about that, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime soon. Okay.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
All right, so where were we? Let's see. Exactly 0 deaths from cannabis, right? 45,000 opioid. I got to go heat up my tea. 45,000 opioid deaths, exactly 0 from cannabis. I just played that video a minute ago. Now I'm going to play a video in which the DEA, the head of the DEA, refuses to say that that cannabis is less dangerous than heroin. Okay, so 45,000 opioid deaths, exactly 0 cannabis deaths. I can play that video again. It's only a minute long. And the head of the DEA refuses to say that cannabis is safer or less dangerous than heroin, which I find very telling about our government and our police state. Our ever expanding, over intrusive, comply or die police state. How about that? Here we go.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. The gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Polis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to begin by following up because I don't on my colleague Mr. Cohen's questions, and I want to try to get a clear answer to make sure the Drug Administration, Enforcement Administration is aware of some of the evidence. Is crack worse for a person than marijuana?
I believe all all illegal drugs are bad.
Is methamphetamine worse for somebody's health than marijuana?
I don't think any illegal drug
Is
good for-
heroin worse for someone's health than marijuana?
Again, all
I mean,
drugs,
either
they're
yes,
illegal
no, or
drugs.
I don't know. I mean, if you don't know, you can look this up. You should know this as the chief administrator for the Drug Enforcement Agency. I'm asking you a very straightforward question. Is heroin worse for someone's health than marijuana?
All illegal drugs are bad.
Does this mean
for
you don't know?
Heroin causes an addiction
Okay.
that causes many problems and is very hard to kick.
So does that mean that the health impact of heroin is worse than marijuana? Is that what you're telling me?
I think you're asking a subjective question.
No, it's objective. Just looking at the science, this is your area of expertise. I'm a layperson, but I've read some of the studies. I'm aware of it. I'm just asking you as an expert in the subject area, is heroin worse for someone's health than marijuana?
And I'm answering as a police officer and as a DEA agent that these drugs are illegal because they are dangerous, because they are addictive, because they do hurt a person's health.
So heroin is more addictive than marijuana? Is heroin more addictive than marijuana in your experience?
Generally, the properties of heroin, yes, it's more addictive.
Is methamphetamine more addictive than marijuana?
Well, both are addictive.
Well, is methamphetamine more highly addictive than marijuana?
I think some people become addicted to marijuana, and some people become addicted to methamphetamine.
You mentioned that the top, your top priority, I believe you indicated to us, is abuse of prescription drugs. Is one of the main classifications of prescription drugs painkillers that you're concerned about?
That's correct.
And are those painkillers addictive?
Yes, they are. Very addictive.
Are those painkillers more addictive than marijuana?
All illegal drugs are in Schedule 1 are addictive.
Well, again, this is a health-based question, and I know you're obviously you have a law enforcement background, but I'm sure you're also familiar, given your position, with the science of the matter. And I'm asking, again, clearly your agency has established abuse of prescription drugs as the top priority. Is that therefore an indication that prescription drugs are more addictive than marijuana?
All illegal drugs are addictive.
Okay, your agency has established abuse of prescription drugs as its top priority. You've indicated as much to us. Does that mean that abuse of prescription drugs is a greater threat to the public health than marijuana?
Because it's an emerging threat, because people are turning to prescription drugs faster than any other drug, that is why we prioritize it.
Well, in many states, including my home state of Colorado, we have a legalized and regulated regime of medical marijuana, and we have found some great degree of success in combating the abuse of prescription drugs by making sure that patients have access to medical marijuana, which the science indicates, and I would certainly encourage you to look at the science, is less addictive and less harmful to human health than some of the narcotic prescription drugs that are abused, and also when they're used on label, they can be very harmful to health as well. Would your agency consider supporting medical marijuana provisions when that can be used in pursuit of your top priority, which is reducing abuse of prescription drugs? If it can be documented that the use of medical marijuana helps reduce the abuse of prescription drugs, is that something you're willing to pursue?
Well, Congress has determined that marijuana is a controlled substance, and DEA is tasked with enforcing
Yeah, but you
federal
mentioned
law.
priorities, though, and you said top priority, reducing abuse of prescription drugs. One tactic to do that would be use of medical marijuana, and I wanted to make sure, again, top priority. In pursuit of your top priority, are you willing to look at the use of medical marijuana as a way of reducing abuse of prescription drugs?
We will look at any options for reducing drug addiction.
The time of the gentleman has expired. Gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee.
That is a freaking amazing clip, isn't it? somebody who's supposed to be educated, well-informed, know what's going on in the world, standing up there under oath, refusing to admit methamphetamine and heroin are not any more addictive than marijuana. Something wrong with these people, right? Am I right or am I right? I'm just saying. Hello?
Hey, Max, how's it going?
Okay.
Hey, are you following that pure blood trend going on TikTok?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Apparently, there's some people who are unvaccinated who are themselves pure bloods. I know it sounds very racist, but they call it themselves because they don't have the cool vaccine. So they call themselves like the pure bloods, which sounds very racist, but that's how they call themselves.
Huh. No, I haven't heard anything about that.
I just sent a link on the chat so you can take a look at that. It's pretty interesting, though. And the other thing that I was reading, though, apparently the whole thing about people getting fired, so they find a way to fire people, is they're using OSHA as an excuse to fire those people.
Huh.
Yeah, so they're using the OSHA loophole. So apparently, if you don't get the vaccine, you're technically considered unsafe, just by the fact that you've been there. I mean, you can be pretending to be at a decorative tree, though, and be unvaccinated, and you can be considered unsafe for work, so they can fire you because of that, because you violated OSHA rules.
Right.
So
Okay, Manny. And then they come out with the booster shot, and then you're going to be considered to be unvaccinated if you don't have your booster shot. And then they're going to come out with the next booster shot, and you're going to be considered to be unvaccinated if you don't get the next booster shot, right?
Yeah, that's what Israel is doing right now. Apparently, you have to get your booster shot every 6 months.
Right.
And if you don't, you're considered unvaccinated. You don't get your green pass or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the shit's never going to end, in other words. So, all we can do is stand our ground. What's up, G?
You know, one of the weirdest things, though, I think this is a new 9/11. Remember, 20 years ago, I was 14 at the time. 20 years ago, when the whole 9/11 happened, though, and everyone was so on edge, and certainly everybody was so nervous about who might be on the earth, or who might hijack, or like who's going to be the terrorists, and like everybody becomes so angry. I think that's how it started. The whole thing, the whole weirdness of this war started after 9/11. And it just snowballing ever since then, though. But now the snowball is pretty big because of the COVID situation. But yeah, that's how I think the people become so weird and so anxious and so angry, though. And on top of that, you have a lot of different things happening, like the Trump phenomenon.
Well, part of the way they become weird and anxious and fearful is because they watch the news. They watch CNN, they watch Fox News.
I used to watch a lot of CNN, though, back in like 10 years ago, because I used to have cable, Time Warner Cable over there in Southern California. And CNN used to be in the background all the time, nonstop, all day. And I used to watch, I didn't watch the whole Obama inauguration when he got elected, and everyone on the TV were like crying, they were so happy, and etc. Kind of like a cultish behavior, though. When they were trying to pass the Obamacare, like everybody was so anxious and
everybody was when they tried to pass Obamacare, everybody was so what?
So anxious, like they were like you were watching a soap opera on CNN.
Yeah. It wasn't just on CNN, it was on both sides, dude.
Yeah.
Plus, they're not different sides, they're the same side. Go ahead.
I stopped watching TV because I moved to Boise to do my second degree on business. And ever since I started watching TV, though, looking at it from the outside, I can see like how people are becoming so like zombified, so easy manipulated by emotions by the TV, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that Fox News used to do that, though, and still does do that to a certain extent. And you can see even like The Blaze or like Newsmax doing that, even in a greater extent. But you never expected that from CNN and MSNBC, that they went that like batshit crazy, to like you start watching it and looking at it from the outside. Something happened in 2016, Marks, with the Trump phenomenon. Whether you like the guy or not, that guy was a gigantic cultural shift in America for the wars.
Yeah, the thing that you're talking about with the media shifting with Trump, it really started under Obama, from what I can tell. I mean, under Bush and Cheney, basically they could do no wrong, because they were the heroes that were going to lead us out of the darkness, right? So nobody talks shit about them. And if you did, somehow you wound up with anthrax in the mail. So,
I do remember that. Like the news was picking up because of the mystery white powder.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, they had a really good reason. They had a really good reason to freak out. Military grade anthrax is very, 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 very ugly business.
Yeah. No, I used to watch the TV network like ABC, NBC, CBS, because I used to live in the border, so I can pick up those channels.
Yeah.
And like everyone was freaking out about that. But yeah, Mox, I don't know, something weird. People are so anxious, so angry, so desperate, so I don't know. There's something on the psyche, and I can see it.
And just a sec, man. You said angry and anxious, and do you say fearful? Is that what you said? What do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is again why we want to eat cannabis. Cannabis will make you much less angry, much less fearful, and much less full of anxiety. I have a video coming up that about a UW study that explains exactly that. UW being the University of Washington.
You know what I do all the time, Max?
No.
I try to avoid these people. I used to play with them, and I used to follow out their grammar and stuff, but I then realized that's too toxic. My former coworkers from when I used to work in Southern California, they all changed for the worse. They're becoming so snarky, so, I don't know, like shaming people if you don't believe what they believe. I don't know. They're becoming
I
so
see a lot of that going on around, Manny. I hear you, and it's being encouraged now, especially with the vaccine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pretty much because of that. And I was thinking maybe it's just because of the anxiousness of the vaccine, because they weren't employed during the vaccine.
It didn't start with the vaccine. It started with the election. It started with, numerous other things before the election, the Russia gate, all these things, It just makes the media and the politicians look like they're completely full of shit. And it's horrible, I mean, I think this is part of what makes the anxiety and the depression is that you begin to realize that these people are completely full of shit, and then what is it you're supposed to do? You turn away from them, you know what I mean, you turn off the TV, or do you need to listen to them even more then because they're completely full of shit? And either way, you have this thing that's incredibly depressing, So I think that's part of what brings the anxiety and the depression is that we realize that we're never going to get anywhere with this government, which is what I keep saying. We have to come together and overthrow this government because it's a horrible piece of shit government at the moment, and everybody in it has to go to prison, and previous governments too.
Speaking of that, Max, one of the things I truly hate with passion. One thing is people disagreeing with you or shaming you because they don't believe you don't believe what they believe, and the other one is people who actually do that just to keep a face. That's the true part that I really freaking hate.
Well,
because I have a lot of situations where people make fun of me or they shame me or something like that because apparently I don't believe what the group believes. But then on the back, I said, no, I support you, man. No, you're cool. You're actually right. I hate that. Because those people who actually tell me on the back or in back channels that I was right though. That people are so afraid to talk though not because they're actually afraid to talk, but because they want to keep a face on society, because they want to keep being part of the group. So they're accomplices of what the other group is doing though.
Right. At the same time, Manny, I mean, if they're being fake to the other group, how do you know they're not being fake to you too? You know. So that's who they are, these fake people. And the other thing is, is that these people who want to somehow act like you're a fool or whatever, a lot of that is to they have horrible self respect. They think of themselves in very low light, and this is the way that they kind of do everybody. Even if they keep it to themselves, they like bash that person inside of them to where well, at least I'm not that person, and they bash that person. So and then sometimes they got to do it publicly because other people are doing it, and it's mostly just shit that's inside of them. I wouldn't ever, like me, I say all the time, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care. I mean, I want it, if you have a valid point, about something, it's not that I don't care. It's that if you want to sit here and say shit about me, I could care less, What's that, Manny?
And that's a good thing I like about you. You speak your mind. You don't give a crap what everybody says, because, you don't have a teeth in the game. But for example, in my case, Max, I have a business degree, and I work for a company that has to keep a face. And I try to be very. This is one of the reasons why I use several phone numbers to mask myself.
Yeah.
And even I have a few bucks, so so people don't find me very easily, because Imagine like somebody find out about you and they go to the history and says, oh, man, he said these things. For example, I do believe, for example, in Israel's right to exist.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty strong about it, though.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are pretty sensitive about that, and they think that the Palestinians are the oppressed, and that all the people who live in Israel should go to hell and should be canceled.
Man, look, I get what you're saying, okay? And I understand when you say I don't have any chips in the game. This is you're a business professional. You have to keep a certain level of, business professionalism. And I don't have to do that. Now, that being said, one of the reasons that I've been able to do all the things that I've been able to do is that, as Manny said, I don't have any chips in the game. I don't have any children. I don't have a home that I own. I don't have a big old bank account that they're going to take from me. I have just me. And that chip I played my entire life, so I'm not worried about losing that one. So, like Manny said, I don't have chips in the game, and that allows me a certain freedom, which has allowed me to do all these things and speak my mind at the same time, as Manny's saying. So I get what you're saying, Manny.
Yeah. No, and that's what I like about this show, what I like about you, though. Even though sometimes I feel like I'm trolling you, at least you're able to speak your mind and say what you think is right. But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, though. That's one of the things I truly hate. Like, people, I don't know, joining the in-group just to keep a face, though. And I really hate that much because, I don't know, you can see the bullshit, and you're right. I've seen the bullshit so many times, though, and unfortunately I cannot just point to bullshit, though, because, I don't know, they dogpile you so much that even if you point to bullshit, it's going to be buried in all that shit.
Well, here's the deal, Manny. You're not eating enough cannabis. How many times am I going to have to fucking tell you? It's funny.
No,
it's funny because it's true, Manny.
I've been a second-hand smoker, though, for cannabis.
What's that?
I've been a second-hand smoker, but I've never been actually consumed cannabis. Right?
Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with eating cannabis. You need to eat cannabis, Manny. All you got to do is read a little bit about it, dude, and you'll understand what it is I'm saying. So,
I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Mark. Just want to say hi.
Okay, it's good to hear from you, Manny. I'm glad you're staying strong, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay, see ya. Even though sometimes I feel like I'm trolling you, no shit, Manny. And I've only called you out on that numerous times. One time, he started laughing so uncontrollably, he had to hang up because he couldn't stop giggling. That was hilarious. And then he called back after he got control of himself. Okay, so and all of you, you're not eating enough cannabis. I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I think that if an employer can mandate you to get a vaccine or do something that is so incredibly personal in your life, that involves a doctor and such, because it's really weird that they let you get poked with needles and stuff in a non-medical environment. I think it's very strange. Anyways, I'm just saying. All right, where were we? We were talking about 0 deaths from cannabis. I'm sorry, exactly 0 deaths from cannabis. And how many deaths are there from alcohol? Huh?
Alcohol kills 3 million people worldwide every year, more than AIDS, violence and road accidents combined. That's according to a new report from the World Health Organization, which says men are particularly at risk. Katie Silver has the details.
In much of the world, as we enter the weekend, many people's attention turns towards getting a drink. But the World Health Organization says this is a problem, with alcohol responsible for 1 in every 20 deaths.
There is no such safe alcohol consumption. Any consumption is associated with some risks. These risks are increasing substantially when a person is even in a state of mild intoxication.
Their 500-page report details a huge number of ways that alcohol is killing us, from drink driving to alcohol-induced violence to 200 different health conditions, including liver cirrhosis, cancer and stroke. Drinking also makes people more susceptible to infectious diseases, such as tuberculosis, HIV and pneumonia. The World Health Organization says for governments, the benefits of alcohol don't measure up.
These figures show that the cost of alcohol consumption to societies are much bigger than the revenues that the governments and societies receive from alcohol taxes.
This is not a problem across the globe, as more than half the world's population over 15 doesn't drink at all. And there has been some good news. Heavy episodic drinking and alcohol-related deaths have both dropped since 2010. Europe, which drinks the most, has dropped 10% in these 8 years. But in all other regions, alcohol consumption is on the rise, especially in Asia, with China and India seeing significant hikes. And the problems are much worse for men, who account for more than 3/4 of alcohol-related deaths. Experts are calling on governments to do more, to come up with creative solutions to save lives. Katie Silver, BBC News.
Could Michigan be the next state to legalize recreational marijuana? The people in that state will decide. State officials have agreed to let Michiganders vote on the issue come November. The proposal would allow anyone 21 and over to buy marijuana, no medical card required. If voters pass the petition, Michigan would become the first state in the Midwest to make recreational pot legal. Meanwhile, the city of Seattle wants to throw out some past marijuana convictions. That city's attorney filed papers today to do just that. Recreational marijuana is now legal in Washington state, and Seattle wants to throw out misdemeanors for possession from before that law changed. Can marijuana help fix the opioid epidemic? Last year, 45,000 people in the U.S. died from opioids. But how many died from marijuana? Well, exactly 0. How can marijuana?
Exactly 0. Okay. 45,000 opioid deaths, 3 million alcohol-related deaths. How many deaths from cannabis? Exactly 0. So if these are the facts, right, 3 million deaths from alcohol, okay? That video is, I think it's a couple years old. No, it's about a year, about 2 years old. And she says like 50% of these countries don't even drink alcohol. So, but still they're counting that as, 1 in 20 deaths. So that's a lot. And I kind of mentioned that before. The thing is again, you need to teach your children this, right? Alcohol is a dangerous drug. But that's not the point. If the employer is to add up all these things, right? Anxiety, death from alcohol, cancer prevention, all these other medical benefits, depression, just general happiness and empathy, right? And then there's workplace violence and workplace shootings and such, and just general workplace anger, and all this stress level just brought down, right? And I would think that if you bring the stress level down, productivity would increase. So I could be wrong about productivity increasing, but it seems to make logical sense. So if an employer was to see all of these benefits from cannabis and in their own personal opinion come to the conclusion that all of their employees and their families would be safer, happier, and better off, in the world if they were to consume cannabis, a little bit of cannabis every day. I think, if you can tell them you need to take this vaccine in order to make our customers safer, in order to make your fellow employees safer, in order to make your family safer, and if you don't take it, you're fired. I mean, shouldn't they be able to do that with cannabis also? The telephone number is right there on the screen. And again, I am showing examples of why they should be able to do this, because it makes total sense to me. I think that if the entire country, really over the age of 12 or 13, 14, something like that, but let's say 18 and it's not just that. Cannabis should be part of our regular diets. The entire fucking planet should be fueled on cannabis, meaning you can make an oil from cannabis seeds that you can run a diesel engine on. And the emissions are pretty much 0. You don't have to drill into the ground. You don't have to make pollution everywhere. And it's a completely renewable resource. Every 3 months you have this fucking reliable amount of, limitless. We don't even begin to understand what we can do with this product, let alone medicinally, let alone, we should be wearing it, right? We should be using it to create fabrics. Why? Because cannabis grows with almost 0 pesticides, right? You can grow, hemp, which is what you would make fabrics and material out of, which the U.S. Navy used up until 1950s, 1970s, something like that. The U.S. Navy, every single rope that the U.S. Navy used, every single rope was made out of hemp. And you know why? Because it's a superior fiber to everything else. Okay? And then you put on top that you can grow it with almost also, you get a softer material from hemp than you do from cotton. Not only is it softer, it's more durable. As I said, all of the ropes that were used in the Navy. Now, not just all of the ropes. I think it was until the end of the 1950s. It might have been a little bit longer. It wasn't just all of the ropes used by the Navy. It was also every single uniform that U.S. soldiers used up until, again, like the late 1950s, at least, was made of hemp. Okay? Again, softer, more durable. And you have to use almost zero pesticides in order to grow it. Now, cotton being less soft, less durable, and you have to 50% of all the pesticides used in the United States. From what I understand, 50% of all pesticides used are used to grow cotton. So, here's this incredible renewable substance that we could change. We could change the direction of humanity simply by going, here's this renewable, amazing resource. Now, what can you people do with it? And boom, you'd be building houses out of it. We'd be fueling our cars on it. We'd be, we would change the course of humanity. And this is the last thing that the oil companies want, the alcohol companies want. They don't want the course of humanity changed. And why wouldn't they want the course of humanity changed? Because they're pretty good with it the way it is. Change seems like maybe not all that beneficial to those companies. The pharmaceutical industries, all these companies, right? They do not want cannabis legalized, which is a big part of why it hasn't been legalized for all these decades and generations in which the good, beautiful people were penalized for using the safest substance known to man. Again, how many cannabis-related deaths? Exactly 0, right? That's what the news clip said. It said opioids, 45,000 deaths. It said alcohol, 3 million deaths. It said cannabis, exactly 0, right? So it just makes sense, Again, you have to tell these things to your kids because you love them and you want them to be safe. And cannabis is the only safe drug there is. Okay? So, and no matter how hard you try, your kids are going to experiment with something to catch a buzz. It's just a normal part of, it's like it's like this stage in life where you're like progressing into the next stage. Hey, we caught a buzz, Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing great. Had some carrot juice this evening. It's one of my favorites. So I'm good. Just awesome. Like Bugs Bunny, in a good mood.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I've been listening to your program for like the last, 30 minutes or so, about 10 minutes before Manny went on the program. And I heard that call, that the one that was from, seemed like it was from C-SPAN, where the head of the DEA was talking to the senator from Colorado, asking her questions about the risk of different drugs and trying to just get her to make an obvious statement that cannabis is not really a very harmful drug, especially compared to other Schedule I drugs. That section right there. I
thought that was a pretty amazing video, actually.
Yeah, it was, and I thought your commentary afterwards was funny and also true. She was doing everything she could possibly do to not say that these other drugs were more dangerous than cannabis. And in fact, there's like all kinds of government data and statistics that support the obvious statement, right? And I'm just going to refer to one right now. And this is from the Commonwealth Fund, and it's from August 16, 2021. And they're quoting numbers from the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention, the CDC, which is a government institution, right? And this is from literally like a month ago. It says, recently released data by the CDC show that drug overdose deaths reached a record high of 93,331 in 2020. While these estimates aren't final, it's more than 20,000 deaths above the previous high in 2019, and the largest single-year increase on record since 1999. Since 2015, the percentage of all U.S. deaths attributed to overdoses has grown from, this is of the total death rate, 1.9% to 2.8%. And then it says even as COVID deaths account for, a large percentage of the deaths. It says deaths related to synthetic opioids played a large role in these explosive increases. Pre-pandemic research documented the rapid and deadly growth of fentanyl within drug supply, including in combination with drugs like cocaine and methamphetamine. Researchers pointed to elevated drug use and high-risk usage like cutting or mixing drugs from an unreliable supply, using in isolation as potential factors in the pandemic's deadly surge. And of course, both of those kinds of activities, cutting your drugs with a more dangerous drug and using your drugs in isolation, hiding from the public. Those are things you do when you have a drug war going on and prices are high and you have to hide your behavior. So the drug war is responsible for almost all of these overdoses because people wouldn't be engaging in these risky behaviors if it wasn't for people like the head of the DEA hunting people down and throwing them in prison for choosing to use substances that the government doesn't approve of. And I don't necessarily approve of all of these drugs either, Mike, but I don't necessarily think that putting people in jail because they're a meth addict or because they're a heroin addict is going to benefit anybody, the addict or society. So,
Yeah.
But I thought some of those numbers, it says that synthetic opioids likely increased by 20,000 deaths in 2020, while deaths involving cocaine increased 21%, and psychostimulants like methamphetamine increased 46%. These are for overdoses last year. Also, these overdoses last year are directly related to the slumped economy and the COVID crisis. So they did these COVID lockdowns, and these lockdowns made people go fucking crazy. They gave them money, that we got stimulants. People took their stimulus and they just went and said, fuck, I'm stressed out. Where's my drug dealer? And you had a lot of overdoses. And that often happens when the economy goes through the down cycle, like 2009.
What else do they have to do? What else do they have to do, too? I can't go anywhere. Everything's shut down, Let's get high.
Why not? Let's go find the dope dealer and do it, right? But the thing about these statistics, Mike, is like you pointed out, cannabis, marijuana is not on this list. It's not on this list anywhere. And this article is like fucking 20 pages long, and it's not even listed in this article because there are no overdose deaths compared to marijuana. So when the senator from Colorado asked the head of the DEA a very straightforward question, how dangerous is this substance compared to these other substances, the government makes data that actually answers that question. And everyone had access to that data. I wish the senator would have rephrased the question and said 90,000 people died from drug overdoses last year, head of the DEA. How many of those were from cannabis, and how can you justify your draconian policies considering all of these deaths were not from cannabis? Could you answer that question? If you would have asked her a more specific question instead of just repeating the same rhetorical question over and over and over again. That's I want to mention that. I feel better. I really do. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about, Mike, was when Manny was talking about how he thought something changed with 9/11 in the consciousness of the American public.
Yeah, I think he was saying, he started off with Donald Trump. I went back to 9/11. But yeah, he was saying stuff about 9/11 also. So yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, that made me think about a lot of things. Okay, first of all, America has never had a war on its shores, since 1865, really, to speak of at all.
Drug war.
And in World War II, 20 million Chinese people died. 5 million Russian people died during the Second World War. Something like 15 to 20% of the Russian population died during that war. So as Americans, we have the largest military, and we project this military all over the world without even thinking about the consequences of it. Part of that, I think, is because in our consciousness, we've never experienced like Baltimore burning or New York City like destroyed or like troops occupying Chicago or Washington, D.C., or, a Navy blockade of San Francisco Bay. We've never experienced that before, ever, ever, ever in our lifetimes.
I don't know. I think Occupy was a lot like that. I think Ferguson was kind of like that.
Yeah, well, police state, like a police state, but not like an occupying army that is like shooting people with like hanging people from light post in view of everybody, like a war.
They're not hanging people.
Yeah. And because we haven't experienced that, we don't have any idea of what we're imposing on other people around the world. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, when we just kind of like reflectively say, we're going to go to war over this, we're going to kill some people over this, like we're doing that without understanding what that means because we haven't experienced it before. And that's kind of dangerous. I think other people in the world have a different perspective, and I don't see China like having military governments and occupations in South America, or I don't even see Russia having military bases like 700 or 800 military bases around the world like we do. No other country has a military presence like we do.
Yeah, no, I think China is starting their expansion of that slowly. I think it's being rolled out as, business to start with, I mean, they're building a second Panama Canal right next to the current Panama Canal, which is going to...
Like in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also have contracts with governments. Like they had a contract with the former government of Bolivia, and they've got contracts like with Venezuela, and they're developing relations with other countries in South America and in Africa and other places around the world, and that kind of coincides with their economic power. They want to make sure that the ships that they send from Peru go all the way across the ocean and make it to China. They have to protect their ships from pirates, like Americans and British, pirates. So that's, I guess that's probably what they're thinking, but they still don't have. Well,
they're thinking. Bases. Look, they don't want to have a war, right? They don't want to conquer the world militarily, but they would love to conquer it economically. So that's really their plan.
Yeah, and I think that they might be just looking at the game of capitalism as it is, the game of capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just more like it's a world, it's a global economy. 1 out of every 4 people on Earth is from China, and if we're all allowed to participate in this capitalist economy, it's only natural that eventually many of the billionaires in the world are going to be Chinese, just by the nature of how many people there are there, like a global capitalism. And I think some people in America and in Europe don't have a problem with that either, is that, a lot of American corporations do business in China. They do business with the Communist Party, and that's how we get cheap phones and how we get all of these electronics and
I can't believe how much phones cost, man. Phones cost like $1,000, dude. $2,000, I guess. I don't know. I never bought one, but it looks like they cost like $2,000. That doesn't seem like a cheap phone to me.
No, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Oh, the other thing about Manny's comment about what changed, maybe like 9/11. You went back to maybe 9/11 changed things, but I really think that the cell phone itself, and not the cell phone, but the smartphone in quotation marks, and I'll put a number like 2005 to 2010, right around there, where they started to become ubiquitous. And they weren't just tools for rich people or business people, but everybody had a smartphone by about that time.
Yeah.
And when they had these phones, that meant that these social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter started grabbing people's attention and creating these echo chambers. So I think that technology itself has kind of created this mess that we're in. Yes, the intelligence agencies may have been involved in 9/11. Yes, we were lied to about the Iraq War. Yes, we went to Afghanistan and occupied the country even after bin Laden was supposed to be dead. Yes, Citibank chose Barack Obama's cabinet, and he bailed out the banks 6 months later when he was president. And all of this crazy shit, right? That people are like, wow, I wonder if that's true, or I wonder if that's not true. And at the same time that all these things were happening, they had these, they had the internet, which created echo chambers. And it doesn't seem like people are unified anymore. I remember not kind of stopping going to coffee shops about 2005, and that's something I had done for 15 years of my life. It's meet people, talk to people about events and then current events and such, right? The newspaper. And after 2005, people were just at the coffee shop. They'd be staring at a screen, literally looking, just going through news feeds instead of talking with other people about the news. And I think we've changed since then, in a huge way.
Yeah, no, you can see it in the youth. I mean, they can barely look up at all. That posture is going to hurt them in the long run. Like when these, 15, 16-year-old people who can't look up, become 60 years old, I can't imagine how messed up they're going to be.
Physically and mentally. They're going to be hunched over, and then it's just mush in the brain.
It's very strange to me how addictive the phone seems to be, that people can't put it down. That I don't know. I actually have never really. I have a couple of them sitting on my desk, but I never had a phone. I never carried one. The only thing I would ever use one for is taking pictures or video, and not responding to email or anything like that. I wouldn't do that on the phone.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, the last story I wanted to share with you, the very last one, it's unrelated, but I found it interesting. I saw it was a CNN snippet where Barack Obama and the governor of Illinois and Lori Lightfoot and Barack Obama's wife were breaking ground at the new Obama Center, and so it's there was a photo op of those people digging with a shovel, which is kind of funny. And then I just did a little reading about it, and I found out that this is from the Chicago Sun-Times 1 month ago. It says the Obama Foundation reveals $830 million needed to build, operate the Obama Center in the first year. So they're building this shrine, basically.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't even have a library. Normally, these presidents, Nixon, Ford, Truman, whatever presidents, they'll have a presidential library where researchers, not the public, but people who are at universities who are doing research on different subjects like the economy or war. So they'll go there and they'll spend a week there at the library, and they'll just go through all these documents and find out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Well, this library.
I think they had the this is called the Obama Museum or something. What is this called?
Yeah, it's a museum, and it has a open space. And it's just kind of like a shrine, is what it really is.
But they had that. Reagan had that too. Reagan had the Reagan. It was called the Reagan Library, I'm pretty sure. So it's like what you're saying. Normally these places are libraries. I don't think it was called the Reagan Museum. I'm pretty sure it was called the Reagan Library. They had a big old 747. They had fucking. Air Force one of those planes inside there. Looks like a neat place.
This is really, I find, troubling for a lot of reasons. This thing that he's doing, that's going on with Obama and his foundation, because they're putting it it's near Hyde Park, which is it's an African community, but it's kind of more of an affluent African community. But it is on the south side of Chicago, where there's a lot of violence and a lot of poverty. A lot of poor people live there, right? And in the midst of these poor neighborhoods, They're putting a $1 billion, $830 million shrine to Barack Obama. Instead of spending that money, they're closing schools in those neighborhoods, because they can't afford to maintain those neighborhoods. Yet these foundations, like I said, they're getting money from people like Michael Jordan, from the Open Society Foundations run by George Soros. So, billionaires and wealthy 100 millionaires around the country are kicking down some money to the Barack Obama. And then these are the staff. So the staff is going to get paid. The totals for the top staff workers in 2020, according to this report. David Simas, Chief Executive Officer, will make $608,000 this year. Robin Cohen, the Executive Director, is going to make $550,000. Glenn Brown, the Chief Digital Officer, is going to make $490,000 a year. Ralph Leslie, the Chief Financial Officer, is going to make $378,000 a year.
People make money, dude. I mean, a lot of people here in this area make a lot of money. But that was the first thing I thought when I saw that building, though, too. Is that building cost $1 billion. Couldn't that money have been used better?
Yeah, and I'm just pointing out how it's going to be like an ongoing operation where these people are just going to pay themselves, decent salaries, $500,000 a year or something, to be a board member of the Obama Foundation, where rich people will go and have late brunch or something so they can have a personal visit with Barack Obama once every 2 or 3 years. And then, literally 15 blocks away, there's going to be extreme poverty and nobody's going to give a fuck. Yeah. And it reminds me of Rome, like of Rome, right?
Yeah.
Where you make these statues to these emperors, and then everybody's just supposed to go to the statue and go, God, we're so fucking great. And in fact, it's always the opposite. It's always the last-ditch effort of the empire to try and convince us that everything is cool by putting these statues up in parks about how great everything is. And it just bugs me.
There's lots of things to be bugged about, but yeah, that bugged me too. I mean, like I said, I didn't even the story that I was looking at didn't even explain how much it was going to cost, and that was the first thing I looked at the building. I was like, that cost $1 billion right there, and all I could think was that's got to be money spent better off. So.
No kidding. All right, Mike, those were just a couple of the stories of the numbers on the deaths and that reference to the Obama Foundation. And other than that, I'm going to listen to the rest of the calls, and I appreciate your time tonight.
Okay, it's good to hear from you, Chris. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care, Mike. Bye.
Okay, so I want to come back to how many cannabis-related deaths, right? So alcohol-related deaths, 3 million last year. Well, it wasn't last year; it was a couple of years ago. 3 million, right? Opioid related deaths, 45,000 last year. From what I understand, 90,000. I think Chris just mentioned that statistic. This video was a couple of years old. So, but they're all available. All these videos. Type cannabis into the Mox News video page on YouTube, and what you will find is at least 100, actually more than 100 cannabis-related videos. And I think that if you type marijuana in separately, that you'll find some videos that aren't on both lists. So a little heads up there. But there are over 100 videos on the marijuana list also. So let me see here now. Again, how many cannabis-related deaths? 0. How many opioid-related deaths? 45,000. I'm sorry, exactly 0. How many alcohol-related deaths? 3 million. How many cannabis-related deaths? Exactly 0. Now let's get to some video. If you want to call, the number's right there on the screen, 805-669-6397. 805 Mox News, 805-669-6397. Feel free to call at any time. I'd love to talk with you. Should employers be allowed to mandate employees to consume cannabis? I think they should. Absolutely. I think, when I'm president, I'm going to mandate that the entire country begin a whole new thing with the whole cannabis industry and hemp industry, and we'll recreate a 22nd century infrastructure built on the foundations of cannabis. I'm just saying. I'm practicing for my upcoming presidential campaign, don't you know? Because I think that there's not enough freedom. I think that this mandated thing is, whenever I hear the word mandate, all I hear is forced. You're being mandated, you're being forced to do this. Now, if they were forcing everybody in the country to eat cannabis, I think that would be really, really good for our country. I think the war effort would pretty much drizzle out overnight. I think people would be like, yeah, we don't want to fight people anymore. We don't want to spend trillions of dollars building something that's only good to kill people. We just rather spend money doing something more important. You know, and again, less stress, less anxiety, less depression, all these other healthful benefits, you know, fighting off cannabis. Cancer, fighting off cancer. You know, this would be great for our nation. So why aren't we mandating that? Alcohol, 3 million people a year. I bet you alcohol-related deaths in the U.S. are really close to 1 million a year. That would be my guess. How come we're not stopping that? Right? I mean, that seems like Joe Biden says it's your patriotic duty to get vaccinated. Well, if 1 million people a year plus, you know, which is much more than the COVID, are being killed by alcohol, then isn't our patriotic duty to make sure that doesn't happen anymore? Exactly, 0 people killed by cannabis. Remember, don't forget, it's important. There will be a test later, people. Let's see. Veterans suicides. How about that? Let's talk about that for a moment.
Welcome back. Today, dozens of people rallied on Capitol Hill, as you can see right here behind me. They are urging Congress to pass legislation that will protect people who use marijuana for medical purposes and comply with their state laws from federal prosecution. Patrick Seifert from Olympia was there, right in the mix. He founded an organization called 22 Too Many. It highlights the fact that 20 to 22 veterans every day commit suicide. He says in states that have allowed medical marijuana use for veterans with PTSD and other issues and ailments, there has been a noticeable decrease in vets committing suicide.
Because of the failures in the VA, in the medicines that they're giving people. You know, the only 2 things that are legal to a veteran when they get out of the military is pills and alcohol. And they're both very cheap on base. Pills are free and alcohol is cheap. And that's all they know when they're coming out of the service. They don't know about the healing that can come with cannabis or holistic healing.
Right now, 29 states have legalized medical marijuana use, but using marijuana for medical or any other reason is still against federal law, meaning all users are breaking federal law, putting themselves at risk of being arrested.
So again, these people are, you know, they're incredibly valuable. The reason that they're killing themselves is because they stepped up to give their lives in order to do the right thing by our country, and now they're killing themselves 22 plus per day in states where medical cannabis is legal. A noticeable difference. So I think that that's really important information. I think that you know, again, the world doesn't have to be the way it is. We don't have to be, it doesn't have to be filled with anger and fear. It doesn't have to be filled with a dwindling sense of empathy and an increasing sense of desperation. You know, it's weird because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I was thinking that when I was a kid, we'd see, you know, these videos and movies and TVs shows where they talk about how the future, technology is going to make our lives so much easier. No more cooking over a hot stove all day for a common housewife, blah, blah, blah. You guys get what I'm saying. And it seems to me that the technology hasn't made our lives simpler. It hasn't made our lives easier, from the 1970s. I don't think. I don't see it that way. I see so much more anxiety and so much more depression and so much more anger and so much more fear. I think I see that. It leads me to the conclusion that technology does not bring this brighter tomorrow future that we were promised. I see the technology. I know that it's out there. I just don't think that we're reaping the benefits that we were told we would. And I find that, again, this is the discouraging thing. This is the thing where you watch the news and you're like, there's no good news, there's just these people who lie and nobody to trust. And now they're telling you that you're being mandated to do as we say, or else your life gets fucked because we say so. And this is good people. This is the cream of the crop. The people, the nurses. If you don't get vaccinated, if you don't jump through our mandated hoop, we're going to fuck your world, right? I don't care how long you've been a nurse, a nurse, right? Nurses giving their lives for the community, to help the community be safer and just more healed. They're there to help people get better, and they expose themselves to, things I don't want to imagine, because I don't want to imagine what that's like. So, again, the best of the best, the heroes, and they're being told that their lives will be fucked if you don't do what we say. Police officers, again, they give our lives to make our communities better, to make our communities safer. Right? They stand up. They're the wall that protects us from all the evil doers, right? If you don't get the vaccine, you're fired. We've seen these videos. We've seen them. The firefighters, the nursing home caregivers. It's there's something not right. And to fire these people who we want to be told, again, are the best of the best. They're saying that if you're in the military and you refuse to get the COVID-19 vaccine, they want those people dishonorably discharged. Again, these are supposed to be the heroes, right? We're supposed to look at these people. And I always try and show everybody respect, because who knows what anybody does in the community to make it a better place, and I think everybody plays their part, so when you see these people that are supposed to be the pillars of our community, the people that are making sure our community stays safe, and then we're told, what we're told again and again are the heroes of our community. We see television shows documenting over and over again how they're the heroes of our community, right? And now they're being forced. They're being told, if you don't do this, you're going to get fired, because we don't care about you being a pillar of our community. We don't care that you've given your life to help make our community a safer place. We don't care that you stand up, that you're the person when everybody's running away, you're the ones running towards the gunfire, right? That's what we're led to believe anyways. Those people are being told that doesn't matter, that's who they are. You will be fired. And I feel like there's something wrong here, and I'm going to play a video now about states with legal cannabis prescribing less opioids, because that seems like an important piece of knowledge to understand.
Legalizing marijuana could lead to fewer people taking prescription painkillers, and experts say that means people might be less likely to overdose on opioids. 2 studies released today looked at Medicare and Medicaid patients in states where pot is legal. It found that opioids were prescribed less often and taken less in those states. Medical marijuana has been called a lower-risk alternative to opioids by advocates, but some disagree. Other studies have found marijuana might lead to future opioid use. Experts want states and the federal government to pay for more studies to see if there is a link.
Okay, so she says that there's evidence from Social Security that that the states that Social Security pays for all these people's medication. There's clear evidence from the government that states that have legalized cannabis prescribe less opioids, right? She said that there's evidence of that from the government, and then they go, but some people believe that using pot leads to opioid abuse, and which is ridiculous, unless of course you're lying. This is why you have to teach your again, but let me finish this conversation. They start with the facts, which is the government saying that states that have legal cannabis are prescribing less opioids, and then they go, but some people believe Santa Claus is real. Okay, so let's stick with the facts as much as possible. How many people died from cannabis? Exactly 0. Don't make me play the video again. What were we saying about the states with less? Okay, I'm going to play this other video here about the University of Washington study, in which they which shows that cannabis is like 1 puff of cannabis relieves anxiety, and 2 puffs of cannabis can relieve depression. I thought that was funny. But again, they do this shit with but some people believe. But I am going to play that clip for you now. I'll be right back.
Smoking marijuana at home can help treat stress, anxiety, and depression, or not, depending on which strain of cannabis people use and how much of it they use. That's the bottom line of a new study out of the university, make that Washington State University tonight, where scientists examine reports from people who used it at home. Their work suggests smoking pot can significantly reduce short-term levels of depression, anxiety, and stress, but may contribute to worse overall feelings of depression over time. Breaking down the data is where it gets interesting. The WSU research team found that 1 puff of cannabis high in CBD, that's the compound that you won't get high from, was best at reducing symptoms of depression. 2 puffs of any type of cannabis was sufficient at reducing anxiety, while 10 or more puffs of cannabis high in both CBD and THC, that's the compound that will get you high, produced the biggest drop in stress. Now, we've taken you in depth on the relaxive effects of CBD before. A Seattle coffee cafe is using it alongside their caffeine. Cafe Hitchcock in downtown Seattle offers what it calls a wellness latte, a drink infused with CBD. Owner Brandon McDill told Cairo 7 that he saw it being used in Los Angeles and decided to try it here.
A lot of people feel anxious in the world today, and people come in here and have chamomile tea for the same reason that they might have a CBD-infused beverage.
We also researched the legality of CBD. Because CBD oil has a THC concentration of less than 0.3%, it's considered hemp and not marijuana. That's in the eyes of the law.
Okay, so they said 1 puff can give you temporary relief from this, and 2 puffs can give you temporary relief, whatever it was. They kept emphasizing temporary relief. The point I'm trying to make is that if you're eating marijuana, right, you have your marijuana cookie, brownie, whatever it is, in the morning, you go about your day, and then you have your marijuana cookie, brownie, sandwich, whatever it is, and you go about your day, and then your evening you have your marijuana. Again, employer mandated. Then what you'll find is that it's not a matter of temporary relief from anxiety and depression, and it is actual long-term easy relief from stress. And although you still experience okay, this is something I have to fucking make happen, and if I don't get it done, blah blah, it's like whatever, I have to call these people because and I don't want to call these people, but I gotta do it, but whatever, it's like, okay, whatever. But what I'm saying is, it's not so much that the relief from the stress is temporary, is that you still experience the stress, but instead of experiencing it continuously, you experience it in a more momentary form. They say it's a temporary relief from it. Instead of it being if you're eating cannabis, instead of it being a temporary relief from the stress and anxiety, what you'll find is that the stress and anxiety become very temporary. You may still feel it, but it becomes a very momentary thing. So, and that is, it's like when I talk about fear. Fear isn't something that you're meant to feel every moment of every day. You are the top of the food chain on this planet. You can make almost anything happen that you can imagine, and you can move forward boldly knowing that there really is nothing to be afraid of. That being said, people walk around with fear constantly. Especially you can see it with this COVID thing, right? I see people walking down the street wearing face masks. I see people alone in their cars wearing face masks. So the fear thing has been ratcheted up a lot. But my point is that we're not supposed to walk around in fear all day, every day. It's meant to be a very temporary thing, and this is really basic human behavior 101, and that is that fear is meant to enact the fight or flight mechanism. It's not supposed to be, oh, I'm afraid of this, and then you move on to the other things you're afraid of, and I'm afraid of that, and I'm afraid of that, and you just move it throughout your day being afraid of everything. It's meant to be a very temporary thing, which is, okay, I'm afraid now, and that's because something is happening, and that thing that's happening, the fear is supposed to be a momentary rush of adrenaline, which says, okay, what is it I'm supposed to do right now? Am I supposed to run, or am I supposed to fucking stand up and punch this shark in the nose, or kick this bear in the fucking dick hole? You know what I mean? It's pretty basic. That's what fear is meant to be, not this thing where you walk around waiting for something bad to happen. That is something that's been programmed into us. And this is one of the things that eating cannabis will help to relieve immensely. So if you have these issues, I cannot highly enough recommend that you begin eating cannabis immediately and continue to do it for every day for the rest of your life. Start now, people. I thought that video from the study from the UW was very telling, as well as the one in which they say how many deaths from cannabis. Exactly 0. CNN video. How are you going to argue with CNN? So I have 2 more videos left. If you'd like to hear them, I can play them. If you'd like to call, the telephone number is 805-669-6397, 805-MOX News. I am going to play this one last video here. Actually, I have 2 more, but I'm going to wait for a phone call. I'm going to play this video if we get a phone caller, and then otherwise I'm not going to play the other video. So hold on. This video is very important. Be right back.
Right. We have a little bit of breaking news here, or breaking 2020 action, Kirsten. I can see you're excited in your face.
Oh.
California Senator Kamala Harris was doing an interview this morning on iHeartRadio. I'm not exactly sure the name of the show, but she talks about legalizing marijuana, which she has supported in the past in her book and before that. But listen to how she describes it.
Legalizing weed. That's not true.
I know.
and look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
They be so mad at you.
Right. Yeah. No, I do not. No. I have had concerns. The full record. I have had concerns, which I think first of all, let me just make the statement very clear. I believe we need to legalize marijuana. Now, that being said, this is not a but, it is an and. And we need to research, which is one of the reasons we need to legalize it. We need to move it on the schedule so that we can research the impact of weed on a developing brain. Mm-hmm. You know, that part of the brain that develops judgment actually begins.
So Kirsten, 2 things going on here. Number one, legalizing marijuana, which is a position she's held, and is not alone now in the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders was talking about that 4 years ago. That's one thing. Then there's the joke about half her family being from Jamaica.
This is not newsworthy to me. She's, so if she tried pot, first of all, it's completely irrelevant. Probably, that's a pretty common thing in this day and age. And it sounds like, she does want there to be more research on the effect that it has on young people. But look, I'm sorry, alcohol is legal and people die from alcoholism all the time. It wreaks, all sorts of havoc in all sorts of lives, and it's legal. And pot is, compared to alcohol, is actually not harmful at all. I mean, and so it's just a strange debate that we have in this country, where there's so many things that are legal that cause so much more harm, and then people get hung up on marijuana.
Former House Speaker John Boehner wants it legal now, too. Sid, very, very quick last word on this. An issue at all for Kamala Harris going forward?
Not that particular one, but I think the larger question of her previous record of being a little harder on crime, and how she's going to reckon that with a progressive Democratic base, that will be the bigger issue. Not this specifically, but the larger questions of her prosecutorial record.
Stead Herndon, Kirsten Powers, thanks so much for being with us. Be sure to watch a special CNN Town Hall tomorrow.
Okay, so I have one more video. I didn't get a phone call. I have one more video of Kennedy bashing Kamala Harris on her legalization hypocrisy, which I could play for you all, except for I said if we don't get any phone callers, I'm going to call it a night. So you'll have to go and type cannabis or marijuana into the Mox News YouTube videos page, and again, you'll find like 100 videos to choose from. Let's see. So, in my opinion, again, I think that the country, if we're going to mandate this vaccine for the safety of our country, then we should be mandating cannabis. I think that if that all the federal employees, if every member of Congress, if every police officer, FBI and CIA agent across our country, and NSA and DHS, were mandated to eat cannabis on a daily basis, I think our country would be a safer place. Because again, those people are the enemy. Those people, we had a caller earlier who said, oh, there's some good police officers. I said, I agree, there's some good police officers, or they go there to do a good job. The problem is, those good police officers know exactly who the bad police officers are. They know exactly which police officers are going to go out and hurt people because they can. And they do nothing about it. So it's not so much that they are good police officers, because they're covering, for the bad police officers. So that being said, I think that if all these people were eating cannabis, number one, there'd probably be fewer bad police officers, and number two, I can't imagine the violence doing anything but dropping off the charts. I mean, the only reason that you would commit violence against someone at that point is because that person's trying to commit violence against you. And, police officers should be trained well enough to be able to take down pretty much any civilian with basic hand-to-hand, as opposed to, oh, he's carrying a ballpoint pen, everybody shoot him. So that being said, again, I, as President of these United States, would now mandate that we, the people, on a daily basis, consume cannabis, because it's good for our nation. It's good for our nation's health. It's good for our nation's stress level. It's good for our anxiety. And it's good for 100 other things that humans do. And I would love to hear the Christian exemptions. Not Christian, religious exemptions, right? Oh, well, I'm a Christian, and eating cannabis is, using cannabis, using marijuana, using pot is against our religion, I would love that, because, man, you pull out that Bible and it says cannabis, cannabis, cannabis. Well, it doesn't necessarily say cannabis, but right at the beginning of it, it says, God speaking here, supposedly, I give unto thee all seed-bearing plants to use as meat, right? So, to use as meat would mean like on a daily basis. On a daily basis, you consume meat to sustain yourself. All these seed-bearing plants, whatever it is, peppers, cherries, grapes, everything. I give you all these plants to use as meat on a daily basis to help your world be a better place, to help you survive, help you sustain. Anybody who knows cannabis knows that it's a seed-producing motherfucking bitch. So, anybody who knows cannabis knows that. So, it seems like this religious exemption is probably not going to work for you very well. So, I look forward to that. And plus, God created cannabis, right? So how can God be wrong? So again, I think this mandated cannabis will start off with employers, right? Because any business over 100 employees must begin to mandate that their employees consume cannabis 3 times a day. A little gummy. It's easy. Just have a gummy. It's easy. Or 2 gummies if you want. And in doing so, we create a safer, less stressful, less anxiety-filled, happier workplace, right? A happier workplace is a more productive workplace. So this is the way we want it to be from now on. So we'll start with companies over 100 people, 100 people or more. And again, this is going to make the country a safer place. This is why we have to do this, people. It's for your benefit. It's for the benefit of our country. It's the patriotic thing to do. Everyone needs to begin eating more cannabis right now. Because I said so. All right, we're all out of videos. No, there's one left. And there's 100 more that I did not play on. All these videos tonight came from the Mox News YouTube videos page. So if you go to the Mox News YouTube video page and search cannabis or search marijuana, you will find more than 100 videos. So if you want to go through them, they're interesting. Some of them have like 1,000 or more comments on them. Let's see. I guess since we don't have any phone callers, we do this every Monday thanks so much for tuning in, because if it wasn't for you all, I'd just be sitting here rambling on, and I don't think I would want to do that for very long. And hopefully we'll get more phone callers. This is the thing that I'm really looking forward to, is I want to have a conversation about everything. I can't tell you how much I wanted to have a conversation about this, because I think it's incredibly timely, with the mandate that's going on around us that we all know about, that seems to be growing as we speak. So I think that, again, it's perfectly reasonable in order for people to be, in order for your workplace to be happier, healthier, more stress-free environment. I think that, I hope that employers across this great nation will begin mandating cannabis in the next 24 hours or a couple months anyways. That being said, thanks so much for tuning in. Please remember, it's always better when you're here. That being said, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, more or less. Which means we'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.